everybody. Welcome back to another edition of The Teardown. My name is Jeff Gluck, and I'm usually alongside Jordan Bianchi. Well, I am this week again, but we have a third co-host this week. He is the race winner. He is the back-to-back Southern 500 winner, and he is the first driver locked into round 2 of the playoffs. He is Chase Briscoe of Mitchell, Indiana. How are you doing tonight, Chase?
I'm doing good. What about you guys?
It's good. You smell champagne.
Yeah, champagne, a little bit of sweat, and cookout milkshake. Just the 3 great aromas.
It's beautiful. Well, right before you came in there, Jordan was very busy killing ants all over the room. So if they're going to be attracted. They're on the screen. So if there's one
all over me smelling like this.
Yeah, exactly. They're going right to you, Chase. So sorry about that. You will be covered with ants by the time you're out of here. But thank you for joining us on a night that you in the media center, you said that you think you drove a better race last year, but this to me has to be the best race of your career in terms of dominance. I mean, your career high before tonight was 109 laps led. You led 309 laps tonight. And it wasn't like, oh, you went to the Bristol night race and you were at a short track. No, the Southern 500, Darlington, just total dominance. How the heck did you pull this off, Chase?
Takes a great race car. I don't know. That thing was really, really good, especially for like 35 laps. Like the first 35 laps of a run, really the first 20, I was unbelievable. Like even when I would lose the lead, I would be like, okay, I'm going to pass them in the next 2 or 3 laps. Like I could just go wherever, and my car just had so much capability on the short run, which honestly was very similar to the 14 last year. But I was never strong enough to like complete the pass. I would always be able to get beside him, but never actually clear him. So yeah, I don't know. It was, I didn't feel like I really did anything special tonight. Just the car was that good, and as a team, we executed. I felt like from a race standpoint, I didn't really run a great race. I mean, I ran a good race, but I wouldn't say that the race I ran tonight was as good as what I did last year. I felt like last year's race was overall better performance by me. It just doesn't get that respect or whatever because you didn't lead 300 something laps.
Okay, there are more ants now.
Yeah,
they are coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah,
they love milkshakes and champagne. What noticed to me was this is a race where a lot of playoff contenders just had a variety of issues, whether on the racetrack or on pit road, and collectively yourself and your team flawless. How hard is it here to have a race where it's just it's so hard to manage it?
It's definitely hard. That's like I've never really been in that position, especially in Cup where your car is that good. So yeah, you're just kind of waiting. At least I was, for what's going to go wrong. And then obviously we had the alternator thing happen, and every time you come down pit road, you're like, please just don't have a penalty, don't have a bad pit stop. Like I do not want to go to the 5th row on a restart. This because it makes your job so much harder. And I mean, truthfully, in today's world, like even with a car like that, I wouldn't have been able to drive up through there. Especially with how my car was on the long run, like it wouldn't have been good for me. So yeah, we just executed from start to finish, did everything we needed to do. And pit crew was flawless and kept us out front all night long.
So help us understand, because, a lot of the social media conversation during the race, especially toward the end, is, well, wait a minute now. He might not have the fastest car anymore. Reddick and Jones, like if they got out front, they got clean air, like they could take off. But at the same time, like you were one of the few cars who we did see make a pass. Like when you lost the lead on the restart where you got jacked up by Larson hitting Allmendinger, who hit you, and then Reddick took off. You were able to get back to him and pass him pretty quickly again. So it's not like clean air was everything. Like you could overcome some loss of a track position, at least briefly, but I understand what you're saying about not too much. So how much was the fact that you had the best car, and how much was clean air in terms of like the end of the race and all that kind of stuff?
I mean, clean air definitely makes a difference. I mean, even back in the 90s, clean air made a difference. We just didn't know really what it was. But yeah, I think my car was good enough that realistically, even if I started in the 2nd row, I probably would have been able to drive up through there. And I think the moment that I really quickly knew how good my car really was on the short run was the one with Denny. I was able to run literally like in his tire tracks and could just do whatever I wanted and, drive right to his left rear. So, I mean, I don't know. I would agree, though, with the fans that after lap 35, 40 of a run, my car wasn't the best, but my car was so good for the first 25 that I could get far enough away that for how I wasn't slow in the long run. I just wasn't as fast or the fastest. So it kind of would even out. And that was the hard part for me that last run. When I knew it was going to be 48 laps, I was panicking just because I knew what my car was doing on the long run. But I was in this really hard predicament of, do I try to just save my tire a little bit and try to be able to hold on a little bit more, or just go as hard as I can and try to build a gap? And I just went as hard as I could the whole time. And I really screwed myself a couple times. Like, I think it was lap 5 or 6 of that run. I mean, I plugged it in the fence and probably lost 7, 8 tenths just on that one lap. So, yeah, I thought that last run for me was pretty sloppy. But it is hard because we were talking about clean air. Like, your car is changing so much here in general because of the temperature and the sunlight and nighttime. But, like, my car would be so loose on the long run when we would have a restart and I would have clean air. But then on the green flag stops, you come out and you're in traffic and my car would build really, really tight. So it was always this balance of like, what do I really need out of my car? Because it would do something different every single run.
Tyler Reddick making a run at you late there. He was, how worried were you he was going to try to do something desperate? Because we've seen Tyler at Darlington do some things, and you guys remember at Briscoe a couple years ago, that was the shoe was on your foot, but we've seen this before with you guys. Were you worried there that he was gonna?
I wasn't really worried. Just because like in 3 and 4, as long as you were on the fence, the odds of you getting past were pretty slim. He tried it, I think, with 4 to go when he dove down, and I was able to kind of pull away. My biggest thing is I just didn't want him to get there in 1 and 2 because that was my real vulnerable spot on the long run. But I think, if it was the round of 8, I would have been concerned. Just because, a chance to lock into the final 4, like, a more aggressive move is probably coming. But when it's the round of 16, like, does Tyler want to win the race? Absolutely. But he knows, like, if he just runs second, that's a great start for him to lock into the rounds of 12. And, I kind of knew that in the back of my mind that, he's probably not going to be crazy aggressive. I was way more worried about, Eric Jones or John Hunter getting to second than I was Tyler.
So the alternator, we're listening to this, they're playing it on TV. It sounds like there's some issues going on. They tell you to turn off the cool suit and then the helmet fan too. And then it sounds like you were able to turn back on one of them at some point and it kind of held out. You said there was sweat dripping into your face during your media center interview. Tell us about and I know it was a cooler night, but it's still really hot in those cars. What was it really like in there? Like, be honest with us.
It wasn't bad. I did have some PTSD when the alternator thing started because in 2020 in Xfinity at Fontana, I had that happen and my car would just start shutting off down the straightaway. And, kind of same thing. I kind of had a dominant car at Fontana and I lost the race because of it. So I was panicked a little bit for like 15 laps and then, kind of leveled out. But when I turned the cool shirt off, I was like, man, it got really hot really quickly because you kind of forget how cool that thing actually is. And knock on wood, like I've never had an issue with mine like a lot of guys have. So I turned it off and I was like, man, it's pretty warm. But I was okay. That's how we've always done it before the cool shirt deal. And then I turned my helmet fan off and the sweat is just pouring down my face. And I'm like going down every straightaway and like flipping my shield up, wiping my face, flipping it back down. Going down the next straightaway, flipping it up, wiping. And then
you're doing this at speed?
Yeah. And then
so you're like one hand on the wheel? And then...
it's easy down the straightaway. But then it got to the point where I was like, I'm just going to run with my shield open just to see. And I'm not a fan of that. I've seen other guys do it. I can't do it. Like,
why not?
There's stuff flying and I don't know, it just feels different on your face. I did not like it. And then you smell everything because you wear a helmet skirt. So it kind of blocks out some of that stuff. And you're smelling the rubber and stuff. I literally thought my battery was on fire because I just smelled something burning. So I just shut my shield back down. I'm like, I'm just going to deal with it and I'll just keep wiping my sweat. And then, once it kind of got steady, James said, hey, you can turn your, fan back on just one where it just at least has some type of air flowing over your face, and then it was fine after that.
I would like a shield and a body sock right now because it would. No offense, the odors.
It's pretty bad.
That bad, huh?
It's more champagne.
It's more champagne than anything. Yeah, seriously.
The champagne is very strong. There was 10 bottles in Victory Lane.
Wow. Are the ants situation is still under control there?
They're crawling on the walls.
There's one right here, literally right beside me.
Do they sell ant killer at Bass Pro Shops?
Yeah, they do.
We might need some here.
There you go.
Jeff and I both had you in our Final Four. But I think it's fair to say, I don't want to say you guys are overlooked, but we spent a lot of this year talking about Denny Hamlin, or Larson, or Byron, and Blaney, the 4 or 5 guys. But you look at your stats, I don't know, let's just say Pocono, since that's where you want, right? You look at since then, you're up there every week. Do you feel like you, 1, deserve to be in the same group as them, and 2, you're a championship contender?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because, if you look at our season as a whole, statistically, no, we don't look like one of those teams. I mean, we've had just as many top 5s, I think, as anybody, but outside of the top 5s, it's we would run top 5 or 15th to 25th. And the team that we were those first 10 weeks, that is a team that I can't even remember. But yeah, since, Pocono and kind of around Coke 600 on, I feel like that's more our identity. But even still, we learn so much and grow so much kind of week in and week out that, I still don't feel like we've showed what we're capable of. I mean, tonight I definitely felt like we did. But I feel like what we did tonight is very realistic for us to do a lot. When we put everything together, and I think the sky's the limit for us. I think internally we definitely feel like we're a championship caliber team. Obviously you guys talked about it, but I think among a lot of other people, we definitely probably do get overlooked a little bit just because, we don't have the 4 wins and, all the laps led and things like that. But, we've really been one of the best cars from a speed standpoint, I feel like, especially the second half of the year.
One thing I noticed in your press conference, Chase, is I feel like reading between the lines, the tone has changed. I don't know when the shift happened, probably at some point in the last couple of months, maybe after you won Pocono, maybe not even then. But, early on you talked about, hey, there was people talking about why'd they put this guy in the car. And there was still this, you really had to prove yourself. And really going back even further, at the start of the season, you talked about you're pretty much racing for your career. And if you can't win in this car, you don't really deserve to be at the cup level. You felt that way. And James felt like he's, racing for his career. He's got to prove himself too. Now we sit here, you won the Southern 500 again. And you're one of the championship favorites. You feel like you've proven yourself. You feel like you belong now. And James said in his press conference too, before you got in there, that he can tell that from you. That when do you think that shift happened where you started to feel like, okay, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing here?
Yeah, it's a good question because it definitely, the demeanor has definitely changed. I don't remember what week it was. There's some week, it was over the course of the last 2 months, and even it flipped with James, where at the beginning of the year it was always you got to be doing this different, you got to be driving you're just not driving it right. And I remember it was after practice and we were texting back and forth, and he's like, the car's not capable of doing what you need to do, we got to get it better for you, and we will get it better for you. And I'm like, that's different. I've never heard that before. And really from that moment on, I feel like, at the beginning of the year, they're you're our guy, but you haven't really proved yourself still. Where now it's like we're going to bat for you. We think you're the best guy for the job. And I've seen that with James and my engineers, where at the beginning of the year, I talked about it, how I would underdrive and qualifying and stuff. And I think they did probably question some things. It was frustrating for them. But now I feel like every single week, when I get out and say, hey, the car's not doing this, they're like, all right, we're going to get it better. Where, I remember at the Coke 600 coming over in practice, and I told James, my car just is doing this into turn 3. And he's like, well, you're not effing driving it right, so it's not going to.
James swore?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
That never happened.
And now, if I would come over the radio, he would still tell me hey, if I'm not driving right, he'll let me know. But he also was do what you need to do. We're going to get it for you.
That's interesting. What is it like as a driver when you win a race like this, race one of the playoffs, and you're locked in into the next round? This is the new experience for you now.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say the next 2 weeks are meaningless because obviously there's points and there's still stuff to gain, but the pressure probably isn't there as it was. What is that like now going ahead? Like, we're locked in. You can go finish last the next 2 weeks and it don't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's nice, but truthfully, like, I have not felt like it's the playoffs at all. Like, me and James, I'm not kidding. We have yet to have a single conversation about playoffs. Like, it's never been a discussion. We've never said, hey, the playoffs, we need to score this many points. It's literally just we act like it's a normal week. It feels like it's the middle of the summer, truthfully. And even tonight, like, I never once was, felt like it was the playoffs. Where in the past I've felt like that. I think probably because I feel like I have to elevate my performance just to even move on. Where like right now, like, yeah, if it was the round of 8, I would probably feel the pressure of the playoffs a little bit more. But in a JGR car, like if you just go and just run halfway decent, like you should make it out of the round of 16. So yeah, it's not really hit me yet that it's the playoffs, but yeah, it's nice for sure. I was really excited. Really, the only time I thought about the playoffs is when I won the first stage. I was like, man, that's a playoff point. Like that's a big deal for the next round. And then now to know that we've added 7 playoff points, like that's a huge thing for us.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, you entered the playoffs with 10 playoff points, and now so in one night you nearly doubled your playoff point total for the season. And what's more significant about that to me is, you talk about the round of 16 fairly, if you do what you need to do, that's fine. But like when it comes down to getting to the Final Four and you're going up against these guys that have, Larson has 32 playoff points, Byron has 32 playoff points, Hamlin has 29. If you were going to go in at 10 playoff points, then you have a real deficit to overcome to real start off. Now you're at least, you're within 15 playoff points of the leader immediately, and you have 2 weeks to go out and just try to get more playoff points even before the next round. That's really big for down the road. Like this is tonight, as you're talking about, could really make a huge difference. And I think if you look at it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me, that was when I was winning the stages, I was like, man, that's huge. Even 2 was big for us because we only have 10, right? But yeah, for us to nearly double now, if you only have 10 points going into the round of 8, I feel like you have to win. Because there's only going to be a guarantee of one guy pointing his way in. And when you're starting, 20 something points behind, like you're just not going to point your way in. But now still would be an uphill battle to point your way in, but it at least gives you the possibility to do that. So yeah. And, we had the opportunity to add even more points to the, as we go throughout the playoffs. So that was a huge thing. I think that's bigger than locking into the round of 12 because, like I said, realistically, like we should lock into the round or, be able to go to the round of 12 if we just run halfway decent. Where now, it's just all about trying to get as many playoff points as you can these next 2 weeks, whether it's on strategy or trying something different.
Winning one Southern 500 is a career accomplishment. It's something a lot of drivers haven't done. Now you only won 2, but you won back-to-back. And you look at the guys who won back-to-back Southern 500s, I mean, we're having a debate in the show whether we count Craig Biffle or not because the race technically wasn't the Southern 500 back then. But it was 2011 or 2009. When was it, Jeff? When did we say it? When was it?
That was 2005, 2006. But before that, you have to go back to Jeff Gordon.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of stats here, Chase. I mean, you're the first driver, according to NASCAR Insights, first driver to lead more than 300 laps since Bobby Allison in 1971.
That was
yeah, let's see. Bobby Allison led 329 in the 1971 Southern 500, and so 309. Yours is the most in a Southern 500 winner since then.
That's crazy.
You have led the most laps at Darlington, period, since Dale Earnhardt in the 1986. But I think that was the 400, or that was not the Southern 500. That was a spring race. But so yeah, we haven't seen anybody dominate or lead this many laps at Darlington, period, in any race since 1986, which is just, I mean, it's just
back, which hasn't happened in 20 years.
Yeah. Well, leading that many laps, that means a good race poll is going to be a no.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about before you. It was an exciting finish. I wanted
But,
to
yeah,
ask.
it is crazy though, just to hear those stats, right? Just like Jordan was saying, like just to win one Southern 500 is such a big deal. Like just the respect level you get in the garage. I mean, like everybody will tell you, like if you can win at Darlington, it's a hard thing to do. And just your peers, I feel like look at you different when you run good here. And I'll walk by the trophy at my house every now and then, and every time I just like take a second and look at some of the names and the faces on there, and it's like, why is my name even on this thing? Like it's just Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer and legend after legend, and then there's just Chase Briscoe, and it's like, how in the world did that even happen? But
you got two.
Yeah, now to have them and side by side, it's it's pretty unbelievable for sure.
So I did want to ask you about the good race poll before we go. Jordan, we ended the regular season tied, and Chase, we changed our playoff format last week on the fly. We were going to do 1 point for the regular season champion and then go on, but we decided to make it a full season points. And we are tied.
Mark Martin would be thrilled.
Yes. We're tied with 10 races to go. Now, I will say if you win this week, yours counts as a win, and it might help us because we don't want to end up tied 5-5. If we split the playoffs, it's gonna go down to a tiebreaker. I think a Chase win would count. You're shaking your head, Jordan.
It's just like how you just insert things at last minute. You're like Brian France in 2013. Next thing you know, we're gonna have
just did it last week. All right. Well, we just added somebody to the chase. Anyway,
we haven't guessed.
So we haven't guessed yet. Yeah. I mean, do you want us to go first so you at least have a benchmark?
Yeah, you guys are the professionals.
Yeah, like there's nothing professional about either one of us. Promise you that.
All right. So I did do some research, Jordan, of course, and I wish I wouldn't tell you this, but I want to play fair.
Oh, there's a shock.
So the Darlington Spring Race this year was voted number 16 of 16 Darlington races, the lowest of Darlington races in the poll. It got 45.9%, and of course that was mostly dominated by William Byron until Denny won at the end. This obviously was dominated by the person sitting next to you. I do think there was a lot of playoff, drama, which actually helped. Right. That helped this one a lot. But is it going to be a similar percentage? I mean, pretty dominant guy syncing up the show, I'd say. So I'm going to go 47%.
Okay.
A little higher in the spring, but not much.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. A lot of things happened, but no offense, no disrespect. It wasn't the most compelling race. Yeah. The end was good, but it felt like this was your race to lose, and obviously you closed it out. I'm gonna go 52, just because I think early on it was racing. I mean, there were some moments where you and Reddick early on were racing, things were happening, and so I think that's gonna help a little bit. So I'm gonna go 52.
Man, you guys have really changed my outlook on it already.
What were you gonna say? What were you thinking?
So my gut, like before we even talked about it, granted, my perspective of the race is totally different than your guys's. Like I don't know anything that happened. I still don't. Other than Josh Berry wrecking lap 1, I have no idea what happened in playoff.
Oh, we'll run through those every week. There's a long list. We'll run it through.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my gut originally was going to say 70, 71 to 72. I was back and forth just because the finish. Like I felt like the finish was very exciting. But if there was really not a lot of passing before that, what was it last year's Southern 500 rating?
That's a good question.
Because that's going to determine what my number is.
That was 90.1%.
Okay. So I feel like you can take 10 to 15 off the top just because it wasn't SHR and like the story of that. Mm-hmm. I feel like that made it.
Sure.
Call it. If I wasn't going to go with 72, my gut was 67, but I'm going to say 62 is my lock-in.
Okay.
But I feel like it could very well be 67.
So your other wins, Chase, you have a 70% for your Phoenix win, and Pocono got 48%.
People don't like it when you.
Yeah.
No, he got a 9. He's got a 90. He's got the full range. So.
Yeah, Pocono.
Not this year though. I'm saying it's like they don't like him this year.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, this is the first time he's won 2 races in a year.
Yeah, that was something that was pretty cool for me. Is just being able to say you're multiple time winner in the Cup Series.
First time you've won multiple races?
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, Chase, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate this. This is really cool. We joked about on Media Day you coming to be our co-host, and a few days later, here you are.
Hey,
So,
I'll do it the next 9 weeks if you guys want. if this is what it takes to be on it.
I think you might have a plane to catch in the other ones. I assume you're driving home tonight. So
Yeah, I'm gonna drive home. Yeah. But hey,
all right.
if it means winning, then I'll stick around.
Yeah. Well, just watch yourself through MacB. Of course, you don't need a speeding
Don't
ticket
speed.
on your way back.
I have not seen a single cop there yet.
Oh, really? The other day.
My buddy, that's a state trooper, he got busted there today and got a ticket. And he's a state trooper.
He can't like flash the badge. And
he said when he went to get his ID, he like flashed the North Carolina badge. And the guy did not care.
They don't know.
Wow.
To make sure you change too and like.
I'm gonna shower.
Yeah, I'm gonna shower because
they'll be like, you've been drinking.
You'll be on the side of the road, touching your nose and counting to 10 and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah,
we appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. I'm trying to dismiss you because I told Megan I'd only keep you 25 minutes, so I'm trying to politely shoo you away. So,
yeah, we gotta let you go.
Thank you.
Shows continue though.
See you guys.
See you. Have a good one.
Want me to take this chair out so it doesn't stink in here?
No, it's fine.
Pretty big.
All right. Chase Briscoe, everybody, on the teardown. The ants continue to march.
Look at you.
In with Jordan. How is the ant situation now? Give us another update there.
They kind of come and go. It's like they come and they start congregating, and then I start killing them, and then the rest of them leave, and then they come back, and I don't know where they're coming from. There's no like food or crumbs or anything in here, so we set up the computer and went and did some things, and I came back in here and ants were all over my computer everywhere, and I was like, what in the heck is going on? So here we go. Yeah, I don't know. It's a very sweet picture from Chase Briscoe, apparently.
If you're watching the live stream, we just had a guest appearance from producer Bobby, who I don't give enough credit for. My parents even said that I never thanked producer Bobby enough.
No,
and so his brief appearance on the screen there, I want to thank him for helping set up the live stream and do it on the fly, juggling a wider screen so we could have Chase on there, and Megan Lieben, his PR, for offering him up there. I don't think Chase knew that he was going to be offered up when she was texting me from Victory Lane asking if we could have him, if we still wanted him to be on, which of course we did. So that was really cool. Anyway, what was not really cool tonight, Jordan, was the performance of one race team in particular. Fairly shocking, really. And that is Hendrick Motorsports. What the hell happened, Hendrick Motorsports? In the spring race, William Byron was as dominant as Briscoe was, although he didn't win thanks to just some green flag pit strategy. It led 243 laps. When he was on with Media Day for us, he was very optimistic he was going to be able to come out there and perform. And then he was really running outside the top 10 most of the night. I think he might have finished 10th in stage 2. But other than that, he was like running 15th or something. And then he ends up finishing 21st. Kyle Larson was the top running Hendrick driver for a lot of the night, but even that was like 12th or something for a while. He ends up fading to 19th. Although I listened to his radio afterward, Jordan, and Cliff Daniels told him that he had some crash damage, which I think was from, by the way, him hitting Allmendinger, who hit Briscoe on that restart. It must have been from that.
Yeah, the splitter on the car was damaged.
And they said the nose came apart a little bit too, so they think that was maybe why he lost some speed. But still, he didn't have speed too much before that. I mean, at least
top 10.
Yeah, I mean,
he was running 5th, 6th. Like he was. I mean, he wasn't bad. I mean, he wasn't.
No, but I mean, this is the first playoff race. You're thinking, Anyway,
we finished 6th in stage 1 and 4th in stage 2. So I mean, not a home run by any means, but they were solid.
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, still, it's not. Again, my point is, we have much higher standards for the 5 team.
Sure.
I mean, people are thinking he's going to win the race, but
yeah, I mean,
and then Chase Elliott, of course, everybody might mentions because they think I'm the Alan Gustafson defender. I will say this is going to knock out my reputation, but I think that his strategy had a chance to work for a little bit there. He took fresh tire. He late pitted. He long pitted, and he had fresher tires. Was coming up through the field, and then they got a bad caution when Priest wrecked Cody Ware, and then at that point they had enough laps on the tires. They had to come in again, and then they had a bad pit stop or a penalty or something like that. I think a bad pit stop. He basically restarted all the way at the back. He ends up being the top finishing Hendrick car, 17th. And then Alex Bowman, terrible qualifying effort for what they needed. And then got caught up in the first wreck. And then had a bad pit. Then they had to pit. Then they had a terrible pit stop where the hose became disconnected. Lost 40 seconds.
That was like such a Keystone Cops pit stop. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. It was just, that was bad.
Yeah. So really just all through the organization to have 0 Hendrick cars in the top 15 at Darlington in the first playoff race. Anyway, Bowman, by the way, finished 2 laps down 31st. Just a total miss. And then, Jordan, to make things worse, we thought they would be solid at Darlington, but we were worried about Gateway for Hendrick. Now, Darlington was a miss, and then they still have to go through Gateway. This is really, really bad start for Hendrick.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the results are the results. There's no doubt about it. In a lot of respects, I think this is a microcosm kind of the season. Let's start with Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott's big thing this year has been he has not qualified well. He is, if you look at his average starting position this year, it is bad. They've had to play catch up in a lot of races. Never go back to Dover. Qualified qualifying was rained out. He started on the pole, and they talked about how track position was so valuable and it's so different up there. They started 21st in this race, and you're having to play catch up on a track where it's tough to pass, and you're going to lose out in stage points. You don't put yourself in a position that bit them big time tonight, right? Let's talk about Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman, Alex has been snake bit a lot. They've had speed in their race cars at times, but they have not been able to put themselves in position. And today they were kind of snake bit on that first thing. He get caught up in that wreck. Josh Berry loses it. There's nothing Bowman can do and gets caught up in that. And then the other thing that we talked about with the 48 sometimes is a lack of execution, is that when they do have fast race cars, the team has let Bowman down. Go back to Martinsville this year in that race. Same, they've had incidents like this. What happened tonight? Yeah, he got some damage, but you can overcome that here. We see that all the time. And instead, on a green flag pit stop, they have everything go wrong, and they lose 2-3 laps, and they're having to play catch up the rest of the night. And that's a bad situation. Larson, I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass. It doesn't sound like you will, but I do. He had, he finished the top 2 stages really well. And let's also say that Toyota came to play tonight. It wasn't like Ford, this was a Toyota heavy night, and they clearly had something in their cars that none of the other manufacturers did. So, honestly, it looked like Larson was probably best in class among the non-Toyota drivers for most. He was going to probably be in that position, but then he had some damage as well, and that's it. But we have said that a lot about the 5 team this year, right, Jeff? Fast race cars, positions, but they don't always get the finishes because they don't execute, or things are happening, or that kind of thing. And that's again the thing tonight. So, and then the William Byron, I don't know. It's hard. I talked to his crew chief afterwards, Rudy Fugel, and Rudy was like mystified. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. Like, we don't know. It just, track conditions were obviously different from the spring to here. They always felt like they were just playing catch up all weekend, and that's that. But it's been this kind of thing with the 24 team at times where like you want to see them kind of take that big step and do well, or it looks like they're going to do well and kind of go on a run, and then they kind of stumble a little bit, and we've seen that as well. And tonight was one of those incidents as well, or one of those moments.
I just don't think that the 5 team has had as much speed just in general.
Oh no, I agree.
I mean, like they're just not themselves really for the most part. Rudy Fugel, by the way, on the radio afterward, I think I transcribed most of this hopefully correctly. It's told William Byron immediately at the checkered flag, "We're embarrassed. We've got to execute a lot better all around. Nothing comfortable. We didn't do S today. We've got to improve and get better and race our ass off every week, or it's going to be a
Language.
long off season. And then Byron said, yeah, 10-4. That was terrible. And it was. I mean, this is the regular season champs. This is not what we expect to see. And at Darlington, this is, again, a place they were so optimistic. This is a place they should run well. And Bowman, you heard it from Bowman, I think in his interview with Kelly Crandall that I saw on X, where, he's talking about even when we, we're running the stuff aside from what happened, the pit stuff, road stuff aside, we were just slow, and that's like, again, Bowman has had a good sort of last push to the playoffs here. He'd been, really fast. So, I think he had 8 out of 10 races. He had scored 11th or better finishes. So this wasn't good. And then Jordan, I mean, I get you're saying he's sort of best in class and the Toyotas were great, but this is Chevy tonight. AJ Allmendinger of Colleague Racing, 5th. Kyle Busch of RCR after spinning 8th. Carson Hocevar after saying it's the worst car he's ever driven, 9th. And then the top playoff car for Chevy, Ross Chastain, 11th. He must have faded because he was up there. Ross Chastain was.
They had some fuel things at the end there, so
yeah, he was trying to save. Yeah, I guess, but he must have lost spots, I guess. But he didn't have a good long run car anyway, though, in practice yesterday. But either way, so you have 4 Chevys finishing ahead of all the Hendrick cars. It's just sort of like, whoa. I mean, and again, it's just mystifying. That's all I'm saying. But
yeah, I mean, and I will say this too. Let's lose the fact that William Byron had a loose wheel tonight and had to make an extra pit stop, and so that then a track position race.
He ended up having to back up. I thought it was an extra pit stop, but
they lost all the position.
And then he could never overcome it, right?
Yeah, and this was hard to do. Kyle Larson's average position tonight was 9th, which would be 5th best. He's tied with a bunch of drivers for 5th best. So, I mean, yeah, it's concerning. It's definitely concerning. And I think if you're the 5, the 24, the 9, you're looking at this going, okay, we can, we'll go to Gateway and hopefully move past it. 48 is concerning. The 48 came in as the last seed in the playoffs. They have a lot of playoff points. Their margin of error was real slim. And now they put themselves in a spot where the next 2 weeks, they're going to have to be bulletproof. And you're going to have to go put together really strong runs. And you start to wonder a little bit about the 9 too. They've had these occasional races where they're off, and consistency is great and everything. And people will point to like, hey, yeah, they finished in the top 10. They don't get stage points. They don't qualify well. That's a problem. And if you're not qualifying well at Gateway and you're not qualifying well at Bristol, that's going to be really significant, especially at Bristol. So I'm not really like smash the panic button, but it's certainly alarming, and it puts Hendrick in a position where I think you'd probably agree, like they're probably going to lose one of their cars after this round.
I think they are. And, look, Larson is still plus 38.
Yeah.
Byron is still plus 25, although that's not even that comfortable considering he was the regular season champion. But, Chase Elliott now is plus 9. And again, going to Gateway where you don't feel super good about things. And then Bristol. But Bowman is tied with Barry, minus 19. Joey Logano is also below the cut line, minus 3. They really missed it tonight. And Austin Dillon, minus 8. SVG is the first one above the cut line at plus 3, although it wasn't even like his car was bad. I mean, they didn't have it wasn't like he personally had a bad performance. He was very upset with his car. And then you have Christopher Bell with the issue he had with Hocevar in the pits, caused some damage, ruined his night. Bell ends up finishing 29th, 2 laps down, and now he's only plus 11. So, Barry, obviously with his spin, you're like, okay. I mean, it seemed like something must happen on the way they had the car set up because he was bottoming out immediately. And, he goes into the first couple turns or whatever and wrecks. I mean, it's, I don't think that's a driver error. That's a team error. SVG, he was going to finish in the low 20s, and then they tried running long and then got caught by the caution to ruin their strategy. It was kind of a Hail Mary anyway. So he finished 32nd, 2 laps down, but he was going to have a bad night. And then Bell, yeah, I mean, you would not have thought Bell would have those issues, but he collided with Hocevar. Did you have any take on that incident there, the Hocevar deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think Bell's point afterwards, he told reporters, was, in that situation, Hocevar kind of needs to defer a little bit, or the team needs to defer a little bit, and manage the situation and say, listen, you're on pit road, you've got leaders coming down, you're not going to gain anything here. Let these guys get it on off pit road and then, continue your race. So I get it. You're frustrated. And for Bell, it's, there's nothing you can do in that situation, and it's tough. Hocevar did come back, by the way, to finish in the top 10. So, I mean, the counter argument there is like, he's obviously wants to get on off pit road as quick as possible because he's trying to manage his race. But it was just a night where playoff driver after playoff driver had an issue, and that's in round one. It's all about not shooting yourself in the foot. It's just about, getting decent finishes and not having to play on defense, and in not digging a hole where that you're not going to be able to come out of, overcome in the next 2 races. And, SVG's case, you didn't have to be great tonight. I don't think anybody expected him to be lights out tonight by any means, but at least put together a decent day on that team, and you've got your playoff points to fall back on. They're essentially gone now. I mean, like you used it up. I thought he was going to have maybe 2 months. You could afford maybe 1 bad race, maybe even 2, depending on where things fell. That's not the case. Like you're going to be in attack mode. You can't fall back on that now. And Ryan Blaney's another one. Like Blaney points wise is fine, but he had a good car tonight, and he, the incident there, I think it was the Bell Hocevar thing.
No, he checked up. Kyle Busch got loose.
No. Hang on. No. Before that, though, he lost track position because
he got jammed in. Yeah, sorry. Yes, he got jammed on pit road because he had to wait for Hocevar to clear.
Yeah, when that happened, he got jammed up, and that lost all his track position, and that put him back in the mid pack, and then the domino effect was that he got caught in the Kyle Busch thing. So like that's part of it, though. It's like it's this cycle thing, and it's just he had a good car. He was going to probably finish. Well, I mean, a decent car. He was going to probably finish 10th or somewhere in there. But like good points night for a guy that we expect to go deep, and it's just one thing after another. It's wild. And if you're like a Josh Berry and that team, it's like, man, like if you could have survived lap 1 and maybe gotten through this race, like this was your opportunity to jump on some guys and capitalize. And it didn't happen.
Yeah, and going back to your SVG point, I mean, you were so bullish, and I don't blame you on four wins. I mean, you have enough playoff points here where you just don't shoot yourself in the foot, and you'll be all right. To get through round 1. Because other people are going to make mistakes, and if you just run solid and don't take yourself out. Well, you see what happens when you take yourself out. I mean, like you're right. I mean, it's pretty much all a race except he's +3. But now he's going. SVG has never seen Gateway before, and said last week he couldn't even point to St. Louis on a map. He has no idea where that even is and what part of the country. So, that's going to be really tough for him. And then Bristol, I believe he struggled there in the spring. So. That's going to be really tough for him now to advance. Logano, I think, can still absolutely advance because he's got Gateway, and I think they're going to run really well there. And I think Barry's okay. Like, I think Barry going to Gateway should be fine, and I think Bristol would stack up well for him. But what?
I was going to say, you're more confident in Josh Berry than I am. Like, yeah, they've had speed at times, but this is a team. Their last top 5 finish, by the way, Las Vegas. That's a long stretch. We're talking that's race 5 of the season. So what, 22 races or whatever? That's a long stretch without a top 5 finish. And yeah, they could go run well. He's done well there before. And, we know the Penske's are good at Gateway, but man, that's a lot of confidence in a team that while they have got promise, the results don't always match that promise.
I totally understand why you'd say that, and I think I might be crazy also, but what I'm really leaning on this a lot is like the Penske cars were so good at Richmond. and he, I think, finished 8th at Richmond.
Yep.
And the other Penske cars got all top 5s. And I just think, look at Gateway. I mean, that is a Richmond-ish type of track. And then Bristol, he's obviously a great short track racer. So, he's only down 19 points. And I would think that SVG is going to fall back to him.
Sure.
So that's one spot, right?
But you got Logano there, though. Let's not forget. So Logano.
You do. But somebody else in front of him is going to have a crash or an issue, right? And there's, you go like, and we'll talk about some of the guys that had better nights in a minute, but Bubba had a great night, right? He's plus 25 and he's 5th in points. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys who are on the plus that are only 25 points or less to the good. Even Blaney's plus 22, Chastain plus 21, Cindric plus 12, Bell plus 11, Elliott plus 9. So, if anybody has a bad night or gets caught in a crash or blows an engine or whatever, they're below the cut line immediately, pretty much, right? So, if Barry goes and has 2 top 10s in the next 2 races, I think he gets in. And Bowman, he could, but I think Dillon, this was a rough night for Austin Dillon, 23rd, and not in the sense that, anything really bad happened, but just, they needed a better night than this. You know what I mean? Like, they needed to take advantage of some of these guys. And they had a clump of playoff cars just ahead of them who finished all 17th through 21, 5 cars. And it would have really helped if he could just get up into the top 15. But they couldn't quite do that. The one guy that had trouble that came back was Denny Hamlin, because it looked like for a while, like he was back there with Byron and they couldn't go anywhere. And there was that one run where he lost his track position and he gets passed by Cole Custer and he's dropped to 25th. And you're like, man, boy, when you lose your track position, you're really done. But they, chipped away with it with pit stops, I think. And he was able to get back up to 7th and salvage it so that he's now the top points guy who's not already locked in. He's plus 43. So that is a huge way to salvage a night that looked really bad for Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, rough night on pit road, back-to-back pit stops or 2 pit stops tonight that were costly. They thought they had a mechanical issue as well too, but again, salvaged it. I want to talk about Tyler Reddick too. We talked a lot about Tyler Reddick's, end of the regular season was going in the wrong direction, didn't have a lot of momentum. Obviously Richmond happened and then Daytona. How about tonight though, man? This looked like the 45 team from a year ago. Came here, even though they had a little bit of damage. By the way, amazing save on lap 1, but get through that and they persevere and he almost wins this race. He's finished 2nd and all of a sudden it goes, sweating it out whether you're going to get the playoffs or not. And now he's plus 35 to the good, going to a track at Gateway where they should be pretty strong. So interesting turnaround for a driver and team that I think had a lot of question marks coming in the playoffs.
Yeah, I definitely want to get to the 2311 cars because, look, I had Bubba Wallace out in round 1. I was mostly concerned about Gateway because he's really never had a good run there. But I think they looked great tonight, really great. And Reddick, both those the playoff cars had speed, and then Reddick, just for him contending for the win, and it looked like he was going to have a shot at Briscoe there. But Reddick, I think he entered as the number 12 seed maybe, and he's now moved up. The number 14 seed, 14 seed, and he has now jumped 10 spots up to the number 4 in the standings. So, and in terms of the guys who aren't in, who haven't won their way in yet, he's the 3rd best guy, right behind Hamlin and Larson. So suddenly he turned things around for himself really quickly, leaped over the regular season champion by 10 points. So, that was a really huge night for him for sure. And obviously, look, he wants to win, but I think he did really well for himself too. Also, I think, and you could have said the same thing about Chase Briscoe of old, but the Tyler Reddick of old might have tried to force the issue there, made a mistake, got in the wall, tried to do too much. And he gave it a great effort on that last corner there to try to do a Hail Mary that was within, the realm of reason where he could still save it. But that was a key moment there, where he didn't do anything to shoot himself in the foot, which that was a knock against him earlier in his career,
Absolutely. I mean, it would have been interesting if he was had to be more on offense because of the point situation, or this was an elimination race or something like that. It would have been interesting to see how they handle this. But I think he was smart. It's like, I'm going to put as much pressure on him as I can, but I'm also not going to go to a line and do too much where I'm going to do something that's going to cost me. It was smart. He just raced really heady tonight, didn't take chances, and put himself in a position to get a second place finish, which again, just survive and advance in this round. This is what this round is about, because this is the round where guys will always take a shotgun to their foot. And that's exactly what happened tonight.
A shotgun to the foot. Yeah. That sounds really painful.
Right.
Let's see. Who haven't we talked about? Oh, Austin Cindric, I guess, because nothing really happened and he just finished 12. But that's exactly what he needed to do. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. I mean, he had a couple, he had some contact with Austin Dillon at one point. They're racing for position and things like that. But that was really about it. And he did what he needed to do. And
no, again, really, he really did, because I think the next two tracks are way more in his wheelhouse. Again, with the Penske cars, he's a former Gateway winner.
Yes.
And I think he's going to go there with a lot of confidence, and he's going to run top 10 there and put himself in good position going into Bristol. Even as it is now, he's plus 12.
Yeah, plus 12.
So, it's not comfortable, but you go have a good run at Gateway, get some stage points. And I think I have him in my final 8, right? So I'm more bullish on him than a lot of people are. But again, I'm rolling with the Penske guys on this one. Playoffs, because of how the tracks stack up, and I've been down on the Hendrick guys. So, I'm not, one race does not at all. And that's it. Let anybody, by the way, make sure we're not hitting the panic meter on anybody or getting too excited about anybody, because last year we learned our lesson, right? Like Christopher Bell was the best driver of the playoffs and didn't even make the Final Four. So we can say Chase Briscoe, oh, great, amazing. Wow, he really came out, and proved himself here, but it doesn't mean he's going to make the Final Four. You know what I mean? Like, so it's a weird, wacky system. Talladega's in round 3.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, we can't get too far ahead of ourselves, but
you say that, but I will say a year ago, I knew who was going to win the championship after Atlanta, the first race of the playoffs, and I proved right. So, I mean, you can have a sense of what's going to happen here. And I do really like Chase Briscoe. Like, I like this team. I like where they're at.
Wait a minute now. You picked Kyle Larson to win the championship.
I did. I mean, I had Briscoe in my Final Four, though. But I think this proved tonight, like, this team's path to the championship 4 just continues to get.
Are you still sticking with Larson to win the championship?
I still like Larson. Maybe I'm overconfident in Kyle Larson and that team. I just feel like they're gonna go on a roll. Like, and I mean, I've been saying that for a while though, so maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, I do like Kyle Larson. I do. You're going to there's 2 tracks coming up, Kansas and Bristol, where he kicked everyone's butt earlier this year, and we're going there in a couple weeks. I actually think Bristol in 2 weeks is going to be a really good indicator where the 5 team is at. And you talked about how they maybe have them at the same speed, and that's right. They haven't executed well. They haven't at the same speed. We're going to be coming to some tracks here, Bristol and Kansas. That's going to be a real good indicator of where this team is at in terms of how they stack up. But I am confident in them, but I am really becoming increasingly bullish on the 19 team and what I've seen out of them. This is a team that come to Darlington and kick everyone's butt. And they got New Hampshire coming up. Gateway is going to be good for them. Bristol, I'm not sure about. I don't know if it matters, but Kansas should be good for them. This is setting up really, really good. And don't forget, Chase Briscoe is really good on road courses, by the way. And has won at the Roval and the Xfinity car. Man, like it's looking good for this team to get another win or 2 in these next few weeks and kind of, again, adding to that point total that Chase told us about.
Yeah, well, I'm not giving up on my champion pick, Joey Logano, even though they missed it tonight and he's -3 because
Number year, man.
I know, but Gateway, if he has a bad Gateway, then I'm going to be like, uh-oh, I really messed this up. And I messed all of Penske probably, but
yeah, we'll see.
Jordan, Legacy
man.
Motor Club were real contenders tonight. And if they'd gotten their track position, they might have been in the position to win this race. They might have had the best long run speed between their two cars. Eric Jones, who, of course, we were bullish on going into the race. The Darlington killer. He did it again, P3. And John Hunter Nemechek, I believe it's his best career Cup Series finish. And he gets P4. So, what's interesting about Legacy Motor Club is, they're not in the information sharing alliance that the other Toyota teams are, Gibbs and 2311. They're not getting that information. Remember, they decided to go their own route with that. So, you can say, well, all the Toyotas, you can lump all the Toyotas in, but they do their own thing, So I think the fact that they were that fast really says a lot.
Yeah, they've had an interesting year, and it's when you look at Legacy and you're going to look at the results, and you're like, man, they're not out there. But when you dig deeper into the numbers, they have had many a race this year, both the 42 and the 43 teams, where they've qualified well and they've ran well, but the finishes always haven't corresponded. They haven't executed well, and that's a big thing. But the speed has certainly been there much more than in years past, and you can really, even this year, it's gotten much better. And you can see this organization making tangible gains and progress. And they're starting to put together races now. And this is big. And now, but you have to continue this, and you got to take that next step. And that's the thing, is, can you do it consistently? And can you continue to execute at a high level? That's the challenge for them. But they've hired some key people behind the scenes. John R. Nemechek has talked about the leadership that Jimmy Johnson has brought. They've got some key executives behind the scenes, including on their board and everything. And it's really starting the puzzle. They've got the pieces, and they're starting to figure out how to put that puzzle together.
Yeah. By the way, inspection is all clear. We didn't update you on that earlier. It sounded like, Jordan, you walked out there a little bit. They inspected all the playoff cars. Is that right?
I walked into the garage, and I turned the corner, and there's cars just right there. I'm like, what the heck? It just, everybody's there. All of the playoff cars were there. They were doing something to them. And then they had the non-playoff top 5 cars. So both legacy cars, AJ Allmendinger. By the way, AJ Allmendinger.
Allmendinger, yeah.
Great
run.
Dude's a wheel man. This is no disrespect to Legacy at all. Or, I'm sorry. This is no disrespect to Colleague. It would be interesting to see what AJ could do with a bigger organization, because, man, he punches above his weight class so many times throughout the course of a year.
Well, remember, I just did 12 questions with Kyle Busch, about a month ago or so, and for the question on I asked him who's the most underrated driver, and he said Allmendinger, because RCR obviously works with Colleague closely, but he said, seeing him up close, and he just doesn't think that he gets the credit. So what? My
computer just started talking to me. I hit the voice button on my computer, and it started saying your name and my name, and in the show, and it was really odd.
Oh, okay. Well, are you sure that ants didn't hit the...
I don't know. I was trying to kill an ant. That was the whole thing. There's an ant walking. So I hit I have a touch screen. So I go and try to kill the ant, get him off my screen. And apparently we've got a voice command thing in the system we use. And it started making all sorts of, noises at me. And I was like, oh, Jesus, what did I do?
Oh, well, that wouldn't be you and tech,
Yeah. I'm my mother's son when it comes to technology. Let's just put it that way, because she's an absolute hot mess too. So
All right. So what else is on your list here, Jordan?
We talked about everything. The one thing I want to give a shout out to is I want to give a shout out to really the NBC broadcast as a whole. But really, I thought Steve Letarte tonight and Jeff Burton was great. They did a really great breakdown, especially Letarte, of that 48 pit stop and everything that went wrong and breaking it down, what happened and the execution. I thought that was phenomenal. That's the stuff we love to see. Take us inside what happened. That was great. They had a really good thing too on the Tyler Reddick he had the roof flap came up on the car, and in the incident there, and they zoomed in on that and they showed it and they talked about that. That was great stuff. So great job for Steve Letarte, Jeff Burton, and the whole NBC crew. That's just a really great broadcast.
Well, speaking of NBC as well, and I saw Dustin Albino tweet about this, and I thought, oh yeah, Kim Kuhn did the race in Portland on pit road, the Xfinity race yesterday evening, and then flew to Darlington and did the Cup race. So that was pretty impressive. She must have gone on a red eye or something.
Yeah,
awesome. So,
Kim's great.
You're not impressed by that? That's like
I'm great. I'm like, it's fantastic.
That's like
she works hard
across the country to do. Anyway, I thought that was shout out to that as well.
No, she's phenomenal. I'm not dismissing it at all. Like that's great. Like you even take a look at it. I think she's done. She does CW stuff, right?
Right.
And so she's been doing that all year long. And then she obviously has been doing the NBC stuff. Like her number of races this year is substantially large. So I love Kim. She does a great job. So I was not,
Speaking of the Xfinity race, Connor Zilisch again.
Shocking.
Well, he almost didn't. Austin Hill looked like he was going to win that race for a little bit, but boy, that was a really crazy ending to that race. First of all,
Portland Xfinity race every year is just like complete mayhem.
Well, so is IndyCar. That turn one is awesome. Diabolical.
It's fantastic.
But listen, I saw a lot of people upset about how Connor Zilisch ran turn one there. Has anybody seen the chart that's going around on X? He did exactly the legal thing you're supposed to do if you miss turn one. You know who didn't do the legal thing? There's cars behind him that cut that corner completely.
Yeah.
And then they just came back on the track and didn't serve any sort of penalty and were scored where they came back on the track. They completely cut the corner. At least Zilisch, when he locked up his brakes and wheel hopped, he went through. Now, was it faster? It definitely looks like that. But at the same time, like nobody else made the corner. So we don't really know if somebody had actually gone through the corner and gone through the course the right way. Nobody else did. So I don't know. People are like, it's easy. Oh, you shouldn't. Oh my gosh.
Ignore the stuff on social media.
Well, I'm just telling you what the conversation was. But anyway, Zilisch, 6 out of 7 wins now with a little help last week. But, man, this guy is just unreal.
It's going to be so much fun to watch him next year in Cup on the road courses, and he and SVG go at it. And obviously, Kyle Busch made a really good point this weekend, talking about listen, as good as Connor is, there's still going to be a learning curve. You've seen it, with other highly touted drivers come in. There is a learning curve, but man, once Zilisch figures this out on the Cup side, he and SVG on the road courses, man, that's going to be worth the price of admission right there.
Meanwhile, another race, you were at the Truck Series race. Truck Race Series opened their playoffs. What I liked is this sort of synergy of those actually lined up. The Truck race, the Truck playoffs and the Cup playoffs open at the same track on the same weekend. So that's not always the case. So that was nice. And then Corey Heim, another dominant driver for this season. Looks like he's going to break the all-time single season Truck Series wins record, right? He's only one away now from tying it.
Yeah, Greg Biffle, 9.
So you would think that he's going to win 2 of the next I mean,
And it's funny, like he could. I mean, he's had, especially early in the year. Remember, like there was like 3 or 4 races that he should have won, and for various reasons, he didn't. And
right, he should already have 10.
Oh yeah, easily, if not more.
Right. Let's see. Anything else on your list from this weekend before we touch on the lawsuit stuff before we go?
No, we covered everything.
Okay. Obviously, we had a lot of lawsuit coverage from Thursday's preliminary injunction hearing. But just to follow up on that, the day after, NASCAR filed sort of a unorthodox, unusual notice, I guess. It wasn't even a motion, a notice where they were basically like trying to so basically, if you haven't, just to recap, if you haven't seen our coverage, the preliminary injunction hearing mostly revolved around whether NASCAR can sell some charters that they have taken back from 2311 and or that were forfeited, I guess, by 2311 and Front Row, where they can sell them to new buyers, right? So that was the big back and forth, and obviously the teams are saying, look, don't sell these charters until the trial. And NASCAR's like, well, we have buyers, so why they don't belong to the team, so why can't we sell these right now? Don't stop us from selling these. We want to bring new people into the sport, and it will be too late. They say, NASCAR says, too late to sell it. If we wait till the trial's over in December. There's a lot of other back and forth, and you can read all that on The Athletic. We have text messages that came out and all this stuff. But at issue is the heart of this is whether they can sell these charters before the trial to other people. Then NASCAR came out on Friday after this whole hearing, and they said, all right, we'll kind of do what you say, what you asked with the court. Like we won't make this an issue. We won't transfer the amount of charters that would run these teams. We'll leave a certain amount, right? If we do something and whatever. So, but the teams are like, and so they asked the judge to say, well, okay, can you just get rid of deny the preliminary injunction because it's moot. It's a moot point. They don't need this preliminary injunction anymore because now we're promising to at least have enough charters on hand that if we lose the case, that these teams can get them back, right? But the teams were like, no, we don't agree with that. Like we still want our preliminary injunction. So we haven't heard anything about this now because it was Labor Day weekend. The court is in recess. So there won't be the teams will file their response to the notice on Tuesday when the court reopens. And then we would expect to hear from the judge. The judge had originally said that he would issue his ruling next week, but now he's going to have to, I would think, first issue some sort of response or something, because he might say that NASCAR can't file this notice, or he might do something. We don't know what his response will be to this request by NASCAR. But I don't know, reading between the lines, Jordan, it feels like NASCAR filed this request because are you saying that they didn't feel like the hearing went particularly well for them? Is that fair to say, or is that too much of a leap?
I mean, I think if you look at, it was always going to be, it made no sense why a judge would agree for NASCAR to say you can go ahead and sell these charters because you don't know how this trial is going to play out. And so if you allow the team NASCAR to sell the charters now, and then as this trial unfolds and the teams win, then you've got to go back and untangle everything. And so you're already making a complicated case even more complicated by doing this. You look at the other lawsuit that's going on right now with Rick Ware Racing and Legacy Motor Club, and a judge, 2 weeks ago told Rick Ware, you can't sell this charter or your charters until this case is over with. The timeline sucks and it's going to be complicated, but we're not going to deal with all of the mess that's going to fall out from this because it's unnecessary. So it always felt like it was going to be a little bit of a long shot that the judge was going to allow NASCAR to sell the charters in advance. Yeah, I understand that the timeline is not advantageous and it puts you in a little bit of a box, but the other way is messy as well. So it never felt like that was going to be the case. We'll see what happens. And then as Thursday unfolded, I don't know. You've talked to a lot of people. I've talked to a lot of people. Yeah, there's just not a lot of good vibes right now about this lawsuit and the direction it's headed. It feels like it's on a train to be very, obviously it's going to be contentious, but it's going to be potentially explosive and could be catastrophic for the sport depending on the outcome. And the judge has made this very clear many times. He did it again last week of like, y'all need to figure this out because this is not good. And he's right. And I think that became very apparent on Thursday that unless there's some kind of settlement that's reached, if this thing goes to trial and reaches the conclusion of the trial, it isn't going to be good for anybody.
Well, that's one point that the judge made of why he could transfer the charters, allow it now, because he said if the teams win this, who knows even what NASCAR looks like in 2026
Sure.
is what the judge said. The judge is basically saying I could blow up the whole thing.
Yeah, charter agreement could go away.
Right. That's what he's saying. He basically said I have every option available to me.
Yeah.
And so he's like this whole you're not wanting me to sell a charter, which you don't even know what the charters will look like.
Yeah, there may be no charters.
Right. That's what, right. He's saying like I might make NASCAR sell the tracks. I can do anything I want, basically. So, yeah, I mean, and the other thing he said too was, well, you don't want me to sell this. You don't want me to transfer the charters, but NASCAR, they have other spots left. It's why NASCAR filed their notice.
Yeah.
So, and
that's tough. Yeah.
Well, and NASCAR's response to that was, okay, technically we have 4 spots available where we can go up to 40 charters. Mm-hmm. But if we issue these charters, number one, if we issue them, the other teams that already have charters have the right of first refusal, apparently. So they can say, no, we want to buy those. Don't give those to somebody else. Number two, you then have to change the distribution of the purse money, because it's based on 36 charter teams right now. So if you add a 37th charter or you go up to 40, then the current existing teams get less.
No.
Right?
No. Hey, it's not even that. They have to also, if you add charters, the number can't go lower. You have to actually throw money into the pot then to make sure that the teams are still getting the same percentage that they're getting now. Does that make sense?
Oh, you're saying NASCAR has to increase the money.
Like
it's not that the teams get less of the pie.
So because you're dividing it by more, the teams, you can't say, oh, no, you're going to get less because we're adding more charters. And so that's what part of NASCAR's argument is too, is like, no, we want to stay at 36 because we don't want to add more money. Adding more money to the kitty is tough. And so, it's part of it. And then to your point, as you said, more charters there are, it would, theoretically could suppress the charter market a little bit. And as we've seen, that number is climbing. Rick Ware was going to sell a charter for $45 million, and that's one of the low-end charters as well. Imagine what a bigger charter is going to go for. NASCAR's goal, understandably, is to keep that charter market thriving. And so by adding more charters, there's the potential that, and I'm getting a little off track here a little bit, but as Dodge is looking to come into the Cup Series in the next few years, that's the conversation of, hey, do we add more charters or not? And I've had conversations with people where like, there's a real belief of, no, we're not going to add charters because Dodge is coming in. We want Dodge to come in and push that money towards existing teams and help them. So it's all part of that.
Yeah. And again, we have a lot of coverage about this on The Athletic, but I think one of the bigger revelations, like bombshells from the trial was the existence of, I think that's called the gold codes that NASCAR has, which is sort of this backup plan, I guess. And it was about basically NASCAR, if things unfolded a certain way and they could run all the teams themselves, they could basically field all the cars if there was some sort of a boycott or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And this would be the alternate option if the teams were like, because they had said they even, there was even talk to truck or Xfinity Series teams to fill the field if there had been some sort of team boycott, but that it was discussed that NASCAR could do sort of the SRX model of fielding all the cars themselves. And just eliminating the teams, so to speak, was sort of like, whoa, that's a big thing. But lot more to come out, it seems, for the trial. So that's another thing where, it's sort of like, hey, how much do you want to, because the judge said, like, there's way too much stuff that's under seal. And if this thing goes to trial, I'm unsealing everything. This is going to be a public, transparent trial.
Oh man, you're going to see the
basically
numbers.
warning both sides. Like, if you don't think this is going to be all your dirty laundry is going to be aired, whew.
Yeah. And that's where, if you're NASCAR, your financials for the first time are going to be on full display. And that would be interesting to see what money's coming in, what money's going out, and where it's going. I don't know if you want that if you're NASCAR. And there's stuff on the 2311 side and the front row side. I'm sure that there is stuff. So it makes too much sense not to settle, but there is no indication that that's going to be the case. And you have to have, we'll see.
Yeah. Lots of interesting stuff still left to come. Well, Gateway, WWT Raceway next week. I'll be there. I don't know what the podcast situation is going to be there. Last time I was there for the inaugural one, they didn't have podcast rooms. So,
do it from your car or something.
Back. It was back when you and I weren't doing video yet.
No.
The teardown, and I had to call.
Uh-huh.
I had to do it on the phone, the podcast on the phone, because there was no Wi-Fi after the race outside of the media center. That was a mess, but hopefully it will be a better situation there.
I gotta have like a broom closet or something you can go into.
Not last time. Definitely not last time.
How about a bathroom? Just go in the bathroom and do it.
I don't think there was Wi-Fi. I'm pretty sure I looked everywhere.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll see. We'll see what we can do.
Right.
Anyway, we'll do a podcast. Just, I don't know exactly how. I might have to go back to a hotel or something. But anyway, thanks again to Chase Briscoe for being our guest co-host. That was pretty cool. First time we've had the race winner pop in like that. We've had the champion do a quick interview. Very cool after the race. Or, we talked to some drivers on pit road after the race, things like that. But to have a co-host for half the show, that was pretty neat. And thanks everybody for listening. And don't forget as well, if you haven't seen our media day coverage, we had lots of fun interviews.
Great stuff.
With all the drivers. They're right here on the Teardown feed, 2 different podcasts. So lots of good stuff yet to come. 9 races to go. Thanks everybody for listening, and we will talk to you next time on the Teardown. See you, everybody.